Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back. This is going to be part 3 in the video series I'm making, documenting the process of me preparing for my first NRL22 match. So I figured in this video we'd take a look at some shooting bags that I plan to use in the match. I've made these ones myself and I'll talk a little bit about that. And after that I think I'll talk about some of the pseudo stages I've set up at my place here, just to practice some of the different positional shooting that I'm not used to. So let's just get started and we'll first take a look at some of these shooting bags. Okay, so in the week and a half leading up to the match, since I've registered for it, I went ahead and made a few different shooting bags to try out and test. I'll kind of put these through development and as I shoot more matches and see what works for me and what doesn't, I'll kind of tweak the designs. I had made previous shooting bags in the past, but they were all specifically rear shooting bags, rear support bags for, of course, the buttstock of my rifle when I'm bench shooting or prone shooting. Since I'm going to be positional shooting from different positions and barricades, this is the first time I've delved into the Barricade bags that can be used for like a bazillion different things, and it was pretty interesting to me. So I ordered some new material. The previous bags I made from old jeans and jackets and stuff like that. But these guys, I wanted to make a little bit better quality, so I ordered Cordura, so 1000 denier Cordura, as well as 600 denier. I believe the material is called Defender, and I kind of just played around with them. Sometimes you want the bags to be a little bit more pliable than others, so having the different materials and the different stiffnesses really helped in that regards. Of course, you can always go and buy your own shooting bags. There's tons of different designs out there that really fit many different shooting styles. The reason why I wanted to make my own is, again, so I could kind of develop a specific bag for my type of shooting and how I like to shoot off my bag specifically. And it's kind of a fun project at the same time. You can see these 3 bags here are pretty standard. I got a kind of rear squeeze bag, just a cylindrical thing that I sewed pretty poorly, but it works. I have a hand strap here to help carry it around, and also just put a little clip there if I want to clip it to a bag. This isn't going to really help me in positional shooting off barricades. It's mainly just a rear bag, so I'll probably bring it to the match, but I'm not sure how frequently it's actually going to get used. If I find I don't use it at all, I'll probably just leave it at home when I shoot matches. The other 2 are going to be what I use primarily for the match. So you can see here the first one I made is just a very simple box design. It's basically just a rectangle that gives me 3 easy kind of preset heights to work with. You've got the low height here all the way flat to the ground. You have the medium height and then the high height. I did put some grab straps on this just in case. And this entire thing is made of 1000 denier Cordura, so it's quite stiff and not super malleable. I kind of wish I had made some panels out of 600 denier fabric so that as a rear bag it can form when I squeeze it a little bit easier, but it still works pretty well. I put a clip on it again, and I should also mention all these bags are filled with polyfill, which are tiny little plastic beads that I think have a really good weight to volume ratio for shooting bags, because they're not so heavy where it's going to be a pain to lug around, but they're heavy enough where it really plants your bag and your gun onto whatever you're shooting off of. So this is the first one I made that can act both as a barricade bag on some wider barricades I'm shooting off of, as well as a rear support bag. And then the second one here, you can see, has a very classic kind of barricade oriented style to it. When I originally went to design this bag, I was trying to mimic the Bad fortune cookie, which is very popular amongst PRS and NRL shooters, but I wanted to make it smaller, but I found I was really bad at sewing curves, so I made the sides straight, and it turned out to look very similar to the Armageddon Game Changer. Now let me tell you why it's different. It's basically this main panel here. You can see from the side, mine kind of has a square taper at the bottom inside the V, where the Armageddon Game Changer just comes straight into a point. And I wanted to sew it this way because if you put it on some wider barricades, it'll stretch the fabric like this, and I feel like if I have a flat portion here, it'll put a little bit less stress on the stitching. So that's kind of why I was mimicking the fortune cookie originally, but it kind of turned out to be like if the fortune cookie and the game changer had a kid is kind of what I made. This one here, I made the front, these faces here, as well as the top in 1000 denier cordura, and these inside panels and the sides here I made in 600 denier fabric, just to make it a little bit more pliable. I put some grab handles on the sides, both sides, as well as a strap here on the top, and I think it actually works really well. I was playing around with this on different Barricades, which I'll show a little bit later in the video, and it seems to work really well both as a rear bag and a Barricade bag, which is really nice. In fact, looking at my rectangular multi-purpose bag here, it has almost the same heights built into it. You can see the faces of them are the same size, so I have both the tall height in both of them, the medium height in both of them, and because of this little pocket in the Barricade bag, I actually have the same low height, but this one also gives me the flexibility in the ears where I can put my rifle in here and kind of get a little bit more wiggle room in terms of different heights for adjustment. So that's pretty cool. These are going to be the 3 bags that I try and run at the match on Sunday. I have a really high hopes for this Barricade bag here. It was by far the most complicated to make and to stitch, but I think it turned out really well. If it does work out well, I'm going to make another one, maybe slightly larger and with more features like Velcro straps and whatnot. So maybe stay tuned for that video in the future if I make one. But let's go ahead and I'll show you some of the courses that I've set up at my place just to practice positional shooting. I thought I'd just quickly show how I kind of practiced for these positional shooting stages. When I was precision shooting in the past, I would just bench shoot and shoot from prone. So shooting off of random barricades and in all these weird funky positions was completely new to me. And when I realized that I had registered for this NRL22 match in a week and a half, I kind of panicked because I realized I had totally no practice in positional shooting. So I kind of just ran around the house and just grabbed random things that were either mentioned in the stages that were in the course of fire, or other things that I just thought would be good practice. So looking at the course of fire that was released a few days ago, they actually specifically say a 6-foot A-frame ladder, which I have, so thankfully I could practice off that. I have a random keyboard stand and some various heights in these plastic bins. There's another stage that has milk crates, and I don't have milk crates around, so this one is probably about the same height as a milk crate, so it's good practice. There's also some stages that are no support allowed, only sling. So I purchased that Magpul RLS sling, and I've been practicing some offhand shooting, but again, I'm not very stable, and shooting off, or not shooting off of them, but practicing off of these different barricades in my own home really showed me the weaknesses, and I'm really glad I kind of did these dry runs just to kind of help me find what works and what doesn't work. Of course, I won't know until I actually shoot the match, but I'll just kind of show you some of the things that I was practicing with. I was using my bags that I just showed on video, mainly this rectangular bag here and my Barricade bag. Also just to note, obviously with rimfires, the general consensus is you probably shouldn't dry fire them because how the firing pin hits the primer on rimfire ammo, it actually butts up against the chamber on the barrel. So you don't want to do that too many times because it could damage it eventually. So when I'm doing these dry run of courses, what I'm doing is I am cycling the bolt to kind of get into the habit of changing barricades with the bolt open, which is a rule in these types of matches. But I'll keep the safety on at all times. And what that actually allows me to do is the trigger on the CZ here still has some movement when the safety is on. Obviously there's no ammo involved in any of this. I'm just cycling the bolt, the safety's on, and I can still practice my trigger squeeze because there's some movement in the trigger, but I'm not dry firing the gun, so it's completely fine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show a very good example of why I think practicing at home with the things you have lying around is a really good idea before your first match. This here is a 6-foot A-frame ladder, and one of the stages is going to be shooting off a ladder basically exactly like this. The stage of fire has you take a shot from each rung up 5 rungs and then 1 shot per rung down at varying distances. If I had just showed up to the match the day of and seen this barricade that I had to shoot off of, I probably would have grabbed my barricade bag that I made, because it seems like it'd be a really good idea. It fits really good on the ladder rungs. You can see the ears help it from moving too much, and it gives my rifle a nice platform to shoot off of. However, since I have to transition between each rung after each shot, I quickly realized that this probably isn't actually the best solution, and let me show you why. If I were to come up, put on this rung, put my barrel in, or put my rifle on, take my shot, go to switch positions, I'll see now that it's actually difficult to do it quickly. And of course you're under the timer in these stages, because my rifle gets hung up on the bag a little bit. I can't bring the bag with the rifle because these ears are preventing it from sliding off. So I have to bring my rifle up first, then grab the bag, put it on the next run, and then get back on target. After doing this a few times, I actually realized that it's much easier doing this stage with my rectangular bag that doesn't have the ears sticking down. Let me show you how much easier it is with this guy. So this guy, I can come up with it on my gun like so. I can put the entire thing in at the same time, fire, and then when I go to change positions, I can actually bring the bag out with me and do it all at once. So again, like so. So it's actually a lot quicker. This is something I wouldn't have realized if I hadn't practiced, so I'm actually really thankful for that. Also, you might have noticed that this bipod on the gun gets in the way. Sometimes when I'm putting my rifle in or taking it out of the ladder, it's going to get hung up. So what's awesome about this Arc-A-Lock mount is that I can very easily, with just a few turns, take the bipod off of the rifle, and it gives me a nice cleaner surface to work with. Nothing to get hung up on the ladder or on the bag. I can just put everything in straight like so. It also gives me some nice movement. And just get on my target, take my shot, and then go up to the next position there. So I was really glad I could practice here on my own ladder at home. So types of barricades I think I will use my barricade bag on are things like this, where it's like a 2x4 or a wall, something where there's nothing blocking the rifle from coming up height-wise, and it needs some support in keeping it on this barricade. You can see if I were to use my other bag, obviously because it doesn't have the ears, it's a lot harder to stabilize it, and it tends to just fall off. The barricade bag is really good for this. I can just plop it down, make sure it's steady, and then drop my rifle on it, and then fire at whatever I need to. So this is probably a little bit wider than a milk crate, but it still demonstrates some pretty cool aspects of the versatility of the Atlas bipod paired with an Arca Swiss rail. I mentioned before, if you're shooting off a really narrow barricade, a lot of people will try and fit their entire footprint, so both their front and rear support, on the barricade utilizing the Arca rail. So if I just had a fixed bipod here and I deployed it, you can see when my bipod is on the barricade, I still don't have support for the rear of the gun. You can still get a pretty good solid platform to shoot off of, but with this Arc-A-Lock mount, I can loosen it up, bring my rifle all the way forward, and you can see now here, I can put my rear bag under my grip, and I can control the height of the rifle by squeezing this bag and having it come up and down, which is pretty cool. I think I might try that. There's one stage on the match where I'm going to be shooting off of a barrel, so it's basically the same concept, but it's just a curved surface. I'm going to try and utilize both my bipod and my rear bag and see if I can fit the entire system onto that barricade. What's pretty cool about the Atlas bipods is you can even rotate the legs back another 45 degrees, so you can see you have even more room to fit your support system onto your barricade. And then I could probably use the rear bag on the stock here to get into a nice position. which is a little bit more stable than just using the bipod on the Barricade. And with just a quick little flick of the knob, the bipod is back up in its normal position and locked down. So I really like the Arca rail system on these competition chassis. Okay, so one last thing I thought I would show about these shooting bags that I made are these little straps on the top here. I originally designed these just as grab handles, but after watching some videos online of PRS and NRL shooters doing their thing, I found a lot of them ran straps around their scope or barrel. And what that allows you to do is have your front support connected to your firearm as so. So when you're moving a bunch of different things between Barricades, it's just one less thing to worry about because it's attached to your rifle, which is pretty cool. I could utilize this in the ladder stage when I go to shoot the match. As you can see here, when it's on my barrel like this, I can shoot off and then just kind of bring the entire thing with me. And if I slip, it's not going to fall. So I might do that. The Barricade bag that I made has kind of the same thing. Again, I usually use it as a grab handle, but you can see there it fits pretty nicely on the bottom of my rifle. And if I have to switch between Barricades, it kind of just holds itself onto the gun. So it's pretty neat. I think if I do make another Barricade bag, I'll make 2 straps on the top with Velcro adjustment so I can wrap it around my scope. But besides that, I mean, these ones will work too because it's still enough room to get my barrel and chassis through that strap. Anyway, this basically concludes this part 3 video of the series. I hope you guys found it useful. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll see you guys in the next video.